Just a quick show of hands, who here is working on a project idea or...
What do you define working? What is thinking working?
If you at least have a thought of what it could be, like you, at least a thought. Okay, good. And maybe just a quick shares, like is it a book, is it a product, is it a art installation, like...
Okay. Yeah, it's a toy line, children's toy line, for like emotional intelligence, educational toys,
Nice.
and with like a storyline, storybooks.
Amazing. Okay, we're just gonna take a few quick shares so I kind of get a sense of what everybody's working on. Who wants to share something else? Even if it's a thought. Okay, I'll go to the back.
Working on a bit of a game, a small like dice game.
Small dice game, very nice.
T-shirts.
T-shirts, very cool. Nobody wants to share?
I just want to raise equity and capital, and I figure like I've got a clothing line, I've got original art, I've got so much that I could just leverage what I have to bring in cash.
Nice.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's a good one.
Just give me some cash.
I want to
Dreaming.
make my own agenda and use Kickstarter to.
Like a physical, like a planner?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. I think Kickstarter is a great way to do that. And so I assume everybody wants to make some money without having to pay for the expenses to get those things produced first, right?
Hopefully,
Yeah, very good. That was the reason why I did the Kickstarter
Yes.
too. So my name is Jan and my last name is Keck. And when I was asking on Facebook, my friends,
Oh my
hey,
God,
how
that's
should I
awesome.
call this workshop? 3 people said you should call it Kickstarter.
That's amazing.
So that's why it's not a typo. That's my last name. And this is what I created on Kickstarter, which I actually have here as well. So we can actually maybe even have this. I'll pass this through. It's a deck of cards that helps you have more meaningful conversations. And there's 3 different levels to the questions that are on each card that all of you now got a curious card, which is great conversation starters. They don't go super deep, but if you want to connect with someone in a meaningful way, you really have to be open and you have to have the courage to be vulnerable. So every layer of questions goes a little bit deeper. And it's a great way to facilitate dinner conversations. I've used it on road trips, camping trips, and I launched it on Kickstarter in November, and here are some of the statistics of how it happened. So I raised just over $15,000, which was 159% of the goal that I had set. And I had 333 backers, which I thought was a magical number.
Yeah.
I was quite happy that it ended up being that. And I want to share with you a little bit of the things that I've learned while running this, but also I haven't run a lot of campaigns. I've run in my career 2 campaigns myself. I've been part of 2 others, so I've used all the things I've learned from those. Most of the beginning ones failed. This one was really successful, and I kind of took those lessons and would love to share them with you today. Is that a good idea?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So before I start, I'll actually want to share with you the story on how I created this first deck of cards, because I think when you have this thought or idea and you don't have something tangible yet, getting from that thought to a physical product is a very exciting process. Because once you get to hold in your hands, that thought became real. And for me, that actually started on a camping trip I was facilitating in 2017, so just about a year and a half ago. And I wanted to facilitate all these activities for people who didn't know each other, going on a camping trip away from all the distractions, away from the busyness, away from technology and Wi-Fi, so we can actually focus on connecting. And it was a 3-4 hour drive to Algonquin Park, just north of the city. And I created a deck of cards, the first deck of cards for people just to have better conversations in the car ride. Because they didn't know each other, I felt this is a missed opportunity, it's 3 to 4 hours, like I need to do something. So I created this first deck of cards in about 4 hours, because I already had a list of questions that I had collected over the years, and I had this thought, I'm like, let's take action on it right away, let's make it real. Sent it off to the printer, and it arrived a few weeks later. I posted a picture on Facebook And then I got all these comments of like, love this, I want to play, I want to buy this, like where can I get a deck of cards? I would buy a deck from you. And I'm like, I'm not planning to create a product. I just made this for my camping trip. But now there seems to be a demand, so let me figure out how to turn that into a product. But also the camping trip, like we started with conversations in the car, turned to conversations around the campfire, under the night sky, in the canoe. Like the experience, I think, became so meaningful for everyone because we finally had those conversations we didn't have the tools to have in the city. So once I came back and I realized that there's some demand, I created all these playtesting events. So I called it Deep Questions and Coffee, Deep Questions and Potluck Dinner and Drinks, Deep Questions and Chai, Deep Questions and Thai Food. I pretty much just did every activity that I did. I invited friends and people that I know on Facebook to play test the cards. So we would meet up, that's like a smaller group of 4 people came out. I had times where there were 20 people that showed up. Those were completely free events. I just wanted to see how people, what they share, what their feedback is at the end. And I started really validating the idea, but also iterating the product. So the first version actually had no categories, it was just one category of deep questions. And then I've realized, oh, if somebody picks a card that is really deep, either it makes them uncomfortable and they don't want to answer it, or they answer it in a non-authentic way, or it makes somebody else feel uncomfortable because they suddenly overshare. And I think we've all been with someone who shared way too much and then it was super awkward. Right? So I created different categories and then I needed to recategorize those because I realized that a deep question for me was really shallow for somebody else. A question that was really shallow for me was really deep for someone else. So it took some testing. But the cool thing that I did kind of subconsciously is I started to tell everyone about it. I gave them an experience of the product before it even was a product that they could buy. So through those playtesting events, I think I had at least 40 people who said they're going to buy one once it comes out. And instead of me then doing a Kickstarter campaign, which I thought is way too much work, being part of others, and like it's not going to be successful, I said, you know what, let me just order on my credit card 100 decks because I know I can get it. Like I already have pretty much like 40, 50 people who pre-bought. I can sell another 50. Let me just order 100 and see what happens. So I did this launch party that 50 people showed up to. Hey, Bonnie. And I think I sold at that event alone. So the ticket was you get a deck and you get the ticket for the event. And at that event, I think I sold about 70 decks. I ended up ordering 180 because I felt like 100 is maybe playing it too safe. I need to be outside of my comfort zone a little bit more and push myself a bit. So that was in November 2017, and it was about, I think, February or March when I sold out of all the 180 decks. So they went really quickly, which to me was a sign that there's something to it. And then I did all these different iterations of different boxes, different cards. And the one thing, because I ordered such low quantities, I paid about, I think I paid about $25 for a deck of cards. I sold them for $35. It was $25 to get them printed, shipped to me, and what I had was, like this was the first version, which is a little blurry, but it's a white box that has a sticker on it. So I had to organize the cards in the right order, make sure each box has the right amount of cards, put a sticker on the box, close it. So it took me like so much time just getting the cards ready to even be able to sell them. And I didn't make a lot of money. So to me that was a reason, okay, I need to level up, I need to get a different printer that can produce the cards at a cheaper cost, that doesn't require me to sort them and put stickers on boxes. But I will have to do, like the minimum order from the factory was 500. And sometimes depending on the product, it's like 1,000 items you need to order. And for me that was too much, I didn't have that money to put on my credit card. Which by the end, I actually did put it on my credit card, but I'll tell you about that in a second. So I did launch the Kickstarter campaign, and in the first 24 hours we raised 33% of the goal, which the goal officially was, it's not under $9,500 is what I set as the goal. And then we raised over $15,000 and 159% in the end. Before I get into the kind of strategies and the tips, I actually would love for each one of you, so the people who just joined, do you have a product idea or something you're working on? Yes?
Yes.
Not quite a product, but more a service.
A service, but something that you're thinking of doing a crowdfunding campaign for, right? So I want you to take just one moment and think about why you actually want this product idea or service to exist. Because I've realized that if you have a mission that's a little bit bigger than just me wanting to make money, then you're gonna stick through all the work that you have to do to actually get it to launch. Because a Kickstarter campaign is not something that happens in like a weekend. There's a lot of planning that goes into it. So everybody put up your hand really high for a second. Okay, in a moment I'll ask you to high five a person that you don't know and share with them why you think your idea needs to exist in this world. And you get 1 minute to share, and then I'll tell you to switch, and then the other person is also 1 minute. Okay, and if you are like, if this makes you like uncomfortable, or if you have no idea what your idea or how to answer that question, just start talking and something will come out. Like just share where you're at this moment. Sounds good?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so high five one person that you don't know, they will be your partner.
Sure. So
we've known each other. We know before.
Sorry about that.
really, so I tried to dictate some and some of the t-shirts were like more generic. The ones I'm doing now are stuff that I like and stuff. So the reason to answer the question, I guess, is more about me. And so the drawing piece that I'm getting back to now is that was a kid, and I was just with that part of myself. So it's really me getting back to doing something that I feel like makes me happy and hopefully makes other people happy. That's what it is. I'm not really expecting to make money from it necessarily. It would be nice if it does, but I'm doing other things right now that make money. This is more about something that's like a passion project, something that I'm interested in and enjoy doing, and so I want to just do it all right out there. And if I can make a bit of money on with it, that's great. If it makes a lot of money, that's even better. So that, and hopefully those lines make other people happy.
Switch, if you haven't switched yet, you can switch to your partner.
Okay, so I answered it and had the other
Right, so then people can adopt that agenda system.
To use for their own,
The one that, okay, that's good. Actually, that's quite an original idea. Never heard about this before.
I really want this product because I'm trying to self-publish myself. I want to publish myself, and it's something that I've been thinking about for the past 10 years. So I'm doing it.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I see things all the time, and I watch lots of management on the show. I mean, dissecting the self-help community, and that's like one of the concepts. I don't know.
Slowly wrap it up.
Yes.
I'll maybe look it up too, but the podcast
And wrap it up.
talks a lot about sourcing manufacturers and how to do that. So
I'm really
the podcast is called
interested
Tropical MBA.
if anybody would like to share with like the whole group of what the reason is why they're creating something. Yes.
So for me, it's like the products are there. They've been selling for 3 years. I've self-financed my entire life, and it really just is to bring in capital so I can do more. So it's not actually to launch something new.
Right.
It's more like you guys have seen what I've done the last 3 years. You can get some of my stuff now in exchange, and yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My thing is more of a it's more of a passion project. I feel like I've been doing things to make money for a really long time, and so it's like T-shirts that I'm sketching the designs for, and like drawing and sketching from something that I did a lot as a kid, but then stopped doing. But I've started doing it more recently, and it does make me happy, and I enjoy it. So it's like I'm not really in it to make some money. It would be nice to make some money if it does. So it's really something that's going to make me happy, and hopefully people will like the designs, and wearing them will make them happy. So yeah, I guess
Nice.
the big part is just making money.
Happiness.
Yeah, happiness. Okay, there we go. Good summation.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it because it came to me. It came to me like suddenly, and it's just been. It's like a part of, in a way, it's like a part of who I am. It's like a natural extension in the form of like toys and stories of like who I am, but also it's a way to empower people, to like, and children and families to like to communicate with each other and to get to know each other and basically love themselves and each other.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else? Yes.
Well, I love the fact that I got to speak with Ryan because we're both up for empowering children, and I think a big part of it is also leaving a legacy, for the world. So if millions of people would have our product, like we left the world a better place. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. And actually, Ryan and me were chatting just beforehand that I actually believe that the best products come out of a need from the creator. Like, I created this because I wanted to have more meaningful connections in my life. Because I realized after living in Toronto for 8 years that most of my conversations are very surface level. The people that I connect with, I literally just like would connect on Facebook or on LinkedIn, but I don't really know them. So I had this kind of aha moment at a retreat where I realized that I actually experienced what I would say a deep sense of belonging for the first time since I came here. And at that moment I decided that's what I want more of, and I was much more conscious going out finding those. And to me, being more vulnerable with each other and sharing personal stories was a big part of it. So I created it, like I said earlier, for this camping trip and more for myself, but then I realized there's more people like me who have a similar problem. I think that's the best type of product that you can create. So the big question that I ask myself actually for a whole year is when you're ready to launch a Kickstarter campaign. Because I could have launched my Kickstarter campaign right when I had my launch party. But I said, this is too much work, I just want to get the product out there as quickly as possible to people, and if it works, then it's great, I'll do another step. If it doesn't work, then fine, I'll just, I spend a little bit of money, but I didn't go broke. And in a way, that's almost my philosophy of like, what's the smallest thing you can create to test it? That I did all these playtesting events, like Deep Questions in Coffee, Deep Questions in Chai, was for me a way to validate that the product is actually useful to people. It helped me create a product that is much better than the first version that I did. Like, I think there were about 7 or 8 different versions of the cards before I launched the Kickstarter campaign. And the big thing that a friend of mine, she's like a crowdfunding expert, and I chatted with her often, and I really wanted to launch, but I didn't feel I was ready yet. And once I launched, I realized that I was ready because I had already built an audience. I had people who were ready to like donate the moment I launched the campaign. And I think the most the mistake that most failed Kickstarter campaigns make is they think that launching the campaign will launch everything. They keep it a secret until they're ready, and then they click the launch button and it's crickets, because nobody knows about what you're doing. So to me, it was a year of building an audience, actually having paid customers that bought the cards before I even decided to launch it. The big worry for me was, though, that why would somebody who already bought a deck of cards buy another deck of cards? Like, do I have to create something different? And like, it looks different, the design is different, the quality is different, but it's still the same question, so it's not a new product. And I still am not 100% sure why almost everyone that had the first deck bought a second one, but it makes a great gift. People just wanted to, like, people want to support you. If people bought the deck, they had a great experience, they hosted a dinner party, had these amazing conversations with friends, maybe even gave it, like I had so many people who like gifted away the deck and wanted another one. They want to support you because you've impacted them. So think about your project, like how can you create something small or even something that is a prototype and start testing it, tell people about it. Like don't keep it a secret, that's the like biggest thing I would recommend. By the way, if there's any questions throughout this, like feel free to raise your hand, or I'll have a little bit of time at the end too for a Q&A.
Maybe you'll go into this later, but I guess the first thing that came into my head is like, so if you already have an audience and they're already ready to buy, what does Kickstarter do? Like, can you just email those people and be like, hey, I have 100 cards, 100 extra cards, or would you pre-order and I'll get, you know, can you do that yourself, I guess is the question.
Why use Kickstarter?
Yeah, like if you already
just
have
doing
an
a
audience.
pre-order?
Yeah, if you already have an audience of people ready to buy.
So Kickstarter does a couple of things. First of all, there is a deadline. So it's not like pre-order whenever you want. There is a deadline that the campaign will finish, and there's a certain time that you invest more energy in promoting. So my campaign was, I think, 25 days. So I know for those 25 days, like I'll be on social media promoting it, I'll be reaching out to media, I'll be talking to people, I'll be running events, and that's the only thing that I drive people to.
Okay.
And if I had no deadline, I would probably burn out because it's a lot of work. So the shorter the campaign, the less work, but they say about like 3 to 4 weeks is the best length of a campaign.
So like accountability.
Yeah, and with Kickstarter, the way I set it up, and there's different ways you can do it, is if I don't reach my goal, nobody will get charged, the project will not exist. So it's a all or nothing, and that, I think, in my opinion, makes people want to support more. And I'll show you my Kickstarter page as well. The way I gave a lot of discounts for the Kickstarter campaign, because those are the people who are the first to support me. They got discounts on the cards. There was a early bird discount where it's like the first 50 people who donate got even another like $2 or $3 off. You can create all kinds of other rewards that I wouldn't create for like just because. Like I will host a dinner party for anybody who would donate more than $100 in Toronto. I would not do that if there wasn't a campaign that was happening, but it like had people donate more.
Those things work. I was an early bird and I didn't know Jan. His friend shared to a group of people and I jumped on it. And so my ex-boyfriend, who also doesn't know you, and he saw me back and it was like, oh, I'm getting this too. So like, there you go, that was quick.
Like the biggest thing with the Kickstarter campaign is you can reach out to a new audience, and it is almost like a reason to reach out to media, a reason to reach out to people and say, hey, this is happening right now, and there's a deadline to it. So there's a, it makes people take action. There was another question, or did we answer that one?
I forget what my question was.
Okay, we'll continue and we'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Another big thing, this is a post that I did, you don't need to read it all, but I basically postponed my launch a day before I was supposed to launch it for another week because I felt I wasn't ready. And what I've learned is that, first of all, you will never feel ready, but there's a lot of work that you need to have prepared before you can press the launch button. You need to think about what are the rewards that you're giving away, what is the cost of those rewards. And I don't want to get into like all the specifics because there are some really good like guides that even Kickstarter provides on like how to set up the rewards, what's like the suggested pricing and all of that. You have to think about shipping. You have to create your whole campaign page, which actually, let me show you just the campaign page so you see. Actually, quick question before I show that. Who here has anybody run a Kickstarter campaign before? Has anybody donated to a Kickstarter campaign?
I donated many times.
Okay, a few people. That's good. Okay, so this. Let's see, where's my mouse? This is how the campaign page looks after the project is done. Like before it was a support button, now it actually says pre-order, which takes people to my website. The other great thing with Kickstarter is this is one of the first search results that comes up if somebody Googles Ask Deep Questions. So the campaign is still there. It shows that it was
Can people
successfully funded and people can pre-order.
Can people still order after campaign is funded?
So the pre-order button takes people to my website.
After the campaign is done, right?
Yeah.
So they can order through your website.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
How long does it stay around?
This will stay on forever. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Like it's great search engine optimization too for your project.
I was gonna ask about SEO because you said that it's the first thing that comes up when people type in
Yeah.
Google. So I guess Kickstarter has a lot of SEO built into there.
Plus, like I'll show you. So if you look at, like, this is a message that I just added at the end with like my website again. But there's a lot of content, a lot of text on that page where I just describe like about the project. There's different statistics, different images of what's in the box, and like just creating all of those images and visuals took me like a couple months, to be honest. Because I'm a visual person and I decided to do it myself, and it just took me a bit to figure everything out too. But there's like a lot that I put in there. I had testimonials from people who already used it. I put a bunch of Facebook comments that people posted on why they think this is a great thing. And then there's a different rewards that you offer. So I had digital decks, so you just get a PDF download, which doesn't cost me anything to deliver, which is great because there's no expenses. And then the different decks, so like you get one, like the limited availability was the early bird, and then it's like the regular price. You can get 2, you get 5, you get 10, you get 25, and then I created these like additional rewards of like deep dinner with your friends, like I will host and facilitate dinner for you. Nobody got that one, by the way. And then find you a people program. Nobody got that one either. So you're almost like testing also what do people want. I created a facilitator bundle, which one person got. So you get like a coaching call and a guidebook on how to facilitate an event with the cards. Connection workshop, I actually had one person get that one. So the higher price items is great because they will get you to your goal much faster, but you might not get a lot of people to.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
From the research I've done on Kickstarter in the past, I thought they suggest 3 options max, like when you're coming up with your rewards. How did you decide to go above that? And
Usually the less the better, but and if you have one product, they say just stick with that one product and don't add other things to it. I just felt I have so many other things I want to share and test that I started adding them. And actually not all of the rewards were live when I launched the campaign.
okay, so you edit,
So
you add afterwards?
Week
like,
1 I add one new reward, which is another reason for me to reach out to everyone who even already has donated and say, hey, do you want to increase your donation to something else?
Cool.
Yeah, like you can, and then there's stretch goals, which is another incentive that you will get on Kickstarter. So I said, once we reach this goal, I will host and ask me anything deep. You submit your question, I'll do a Facebook Live, I'll answer your questions. Once we reach $12,000, I will host this dinner experience for people that donate more than $100. Actually, there was one more stretch goal that I added at the very end that I didn't even have a chance to post on the page because it was really last minute. But there's, like just looking at the page, there's a lot that goes into it if you want to make it long. I actually think I could have done the same amount of money raised with a much shorter page. But this gives you a little bit of an idea. Okay, let's go.
So you were talking about stretch goals. So those
Yes.
are different than like the rewards, right? Because you have
Yes.
the rewards, so people donate a certain amount,
Mhm.
they get rewarded, and the stretch goals are if you reach certain milestones, then you
Big.
reward everybody.
Yes. And the stretch goals are great because it makes people who have already supported you increase their pledge sometimes because they want to reach that stretch goal. Or again, it's the incentives of like, I want to get to that next level. And it's almost like gamifying the whole experience for people. And I had someone donate $60 more without getting any reward just because she wanted to be the one who gets me over $9,000. Because she felt like And like it's somebody that I know,
Yeah.
but she was like, this is an uneven number. I want to make it like even, and even like at the very end, until you are funded or until your project is over.
No, but those people who you already know, this is that
Yeah,
they buy from you, right?
I like the things I did was mainly used Facebook and Instagram because that's where my network was hanging out, and my email list. Like those were the three things, and then Kickstarter, reaching out directly to people.
How long did you start doing your Instagram and Facebook posts before you launched the campaign?
Very good question. My goal was, let me prepare all the Facebook posts before I even launch. Like, you could already create 25% funded, 50% funded, 100% funded. Like one more day, you could create all of this before, and I think I did maybe the first two. But then, like, I just wanted it to launch, and my difficulty was I had a deadline with I want to deliver the cards by Christmas. So the longer I wait, like postponing the campaign for a week actually meant my campaign is a week shorter, because my deadline was still the same. So the cards arrive here in time and I can ship them out. Yeah. We'll do some more questions at the end. I just want to share this next one because I think that's the biggest factor in the campaign being successful, which is have a team. Like, don't think that you can do a Kickstarter campaign by yourself, because first of all, there is a lot of work that goes into it. But second of all, think about how many people can you reach if you post on Facebook. Now think about what if 20 people posted on Facebook to their friends. What if there was 100 people that posted? So what I did is a couple of weeks before the campaign, I did a call, again on my social media. I invited my friends, I did Facebook posts, sent it to my email list and said, anybody who wants to join my launch team can get some exclusive rewards that won't be available in the Kickstarter campaign. And all you need to agree on is you share the campaign as soon as it goes live within the first 24 hours. That was all that I asked for. I ended up creating a whole private Facebook group for those people because it ended up being 50 people who joined. Some of them didn't even know me or the product, but most of them already had used the cards. And I basically created for them, here's different images you can use to share. Here's like steps that I would like you to take. Like as soon as it launches, post it on Facebook, send it out to your email list, post it on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook groups you're part of. And if you already have the cards, consider getting an extra deck. If you don't have a deck, then this is your chance to get it at a lower price. So I created almost like a instructions for my team to just execute. And I kept them engaged in the group, and I actually hosted a Kickstarter launch party. So there were 5 people who showed up, so not a huge group, but I did a live video call where I pressed the launch button, and we did like a countdown. And it was so much fun, although there was only a few people there, it was fun not having to do it by myself. The other thing I need to share too is I launched the campaign with a 3-week-old baby at home, which is not recommended, but I really wanted to get the cards out, and first baby, yeah, I really wanted to get the cards out before Christmas, so I'm like, I'll find the time. Or, what was even more important, the reason why I needed this launch team is I don't have time to be on the campaign every day. I actually launched the campaign with the video call, and then I was unavailable for like half a day to even post anything else or do anything else. So I posted it on Facebook, I posted in the group, say, share this. Then I had an event to run in the evening. I had to get up in the middle of the night to feed the baby. I woke up the next morning and we were 33% funded. All I did was one post.
Nice.
That's awesome.
And so I asked people, if you have the cards, can you post a testimonial? If, like before I launch, can you just review the page and let me know what you think? Like I really wanted people to be involved and feel like they're part of it, like you're part of my team, we're doing this together rather than me doing it by myself. And I had people sharing, like, I didn't even count, but honestly I was overwhelmed by how many posts that were happening in that first day. Like my Facebook was just like blowing up with people sharing stories, just sharing the post, and yeah, like this was the one post I did. Hey everyone, the campaign is live. I can't control my excitement, but I'm also rushing to get into the event. Please use this link to share. And the first 24 hours are really critical with your campaign because there's two things that happen. One is Kickstarter puts some projects on their front page, and once you're on the front page of Kickstarter, a lot more people that have no idea who you are will see it. So my goal was, how can I get to the front page of Kickstarter? And they say that you have to get to at least 25% within the first day. Like if you raise 25%, Kickstarter thinks, okay, this is taking off, there's momentum, we're gonna promote it even more. We raised 33%, but we didn't end up on the front page of Kickstarter.
Why?
So there's still like a person that needs to see your project and then put it there. Another person told me you can reach out to them directly, but I just didn't have the time, to be honest. There's a lot of things that I could have done, but I ended up not having the time because young baby at home and all of that. Yeah. Anybody questions on like the launch team? Or, yeah.
What was the extra reward that you gave the launch team? Like, what was the attractive thing?
I didn't specify anything. I just said exclusive rewards. I didn't.
Okay.
I still haven't actually decided what I'll be giving out
Got it.
because I'm creating a couple of things and they're probably getting things like throughout the year.
Oh, got it.
But I, in the beginning, was thinking I could run this almost like an affiliate program. I could give everyone a special link, so I know which link, which post that people share will actually get people to donate, and then depending on how many people donate, you would get a different price. And at one point I just thought, you know what, this is too much work. I trust that people want to support this, and let's just see what happens, and it did.
You can do affiliate links through Kickstarter?
You could do it through Google, like Google UTM, like the tracking links, which it's maybe too technical, but I tracked every time I put a Facebook post, I had a different tracking link, so at the end I could actually see which posts had how many donations.
Oh, that's great.
So you can track that all. It's a bit complicated to set up, and you really need to do it with every time you share it, so you can get like
but
a
it
good
gives
picture.
you
But
great feedback.
yeah,
What works?
yeah, and I can see that, and I can even like pull it up later, what things actually gain a lot of traction. But I get, actually let me see, I have one page where it shows, like this is what Kickstarter tells you. Where have you gotten the like where did people come from and how much have they pledged? And like Facebook was definitely my biggest one because that's where I use my personal network, Facebook groups, and then people just sharing on Facebook. And then direct traffic is probably also from people sharing it. Yeah, so that was interesting to see, and then I would see which post would be how much in Google Analytics. Any other questions on that? Yes.
Sorry, did that have to do with UTM that we were talking about, or where does
So this is what Kickstarter gives you.
Oh,
Yeah. So they will just give you like, that's as much as they tell you. If you want more insights, you need to set it up yourself.
How much direct messages did you do versus posts? Because I actually don't know like who sees what.
Yeah.
If you're just posting on the wall, like did you do a lot of direct invitations?
Like by email?
No,
Or-
like Facebook Messenger.
Facebook, like personal?
Yeah.
I had it on my to-do list for the whole campaign. I don't think I got to it.
Okay, got it.
Like if you know people that are interested and you have the time or have somebody else who can message people, I think it's a great personalized way to
Well, and
to
also
get
just
them.
to make sure they saw it,
Yeah.
right?
Like for me, because the community that I have in Toronto and through a conference that I go to in the States, I had so many people in my launch team that it was almost impossible to ignore. I think I actually annoyed a bunch of people because like if 20 of your friends share the same post in like a couple of days and all you see is just one post coming up and coming up and coming up, you almost can't ignore it anymore.
How many people did you have on your launch team?
But 50.
50.
Yeah. I was aiming to get 20, but then it just, people started inviting their friends and like, hey, you should join this too. And some people that maybe like you are interested in how I do it kind of behind the scenes because I shared a little bit more there.
So you didn't do anything like super special?
No, I
You
just
didn't
said,
spend all this money to like give them something?
not yet.
Not yet.
The one thing I did was I hosted the virtual launch party. I want to do like more virtual like events because people are not all local.
Yeah.
And that doesn't cost me anything
Yeah,
except
exactly.
my time. I
I'm
think
just wondering
yeah,
why they show up, so they just like you.
they want to support.
Okay.
Like half of them were either already customers, or like this is great. Like this needs to go to more people. Like they supported the mission. That's why I asked you in the beginning. Like, what's the reason why you think this needs to exist? If you can get people to support your mission, they'll just wanna, like they wanna share it.
So was there anybody from your launch team who didn't actually share or do anything?
Yeah, for sure.
Because out of 50.
For
okay.
sure. I didn't actually keep track because
Okay.
it was a little bit too much.
But you're
go
still
back
going
to
to reward everybody regardless of whether or not
Um,
they.
Because I haven't specified what they're getting, I think there's something that doesn't cost me anything that everyone gets. And then I know that there's at least like 5-6 people that have shared it like
Like active.
ongoingly,
Okay.
like in Facebook groups, like they send it out, like they Facebook message people. So I'm gonna send them something special. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you use Facebook ads to launch?
I think I paid like 10 or 15 bucks in Facebook ads, but I don't think, like, maybe 1 or 2 donations came from there. It was not really worth it, because I didn't have the time to invest in like making it work. Like Facebook ads is like a whole other beast to even do.
So are you potentially offering financial rewards to your launch team, depending on?
I didn't.
Okay.
All I said was this post. What did I say? That I will need your help. I believe in my mission to empower people to have more meaningful conversations and cure loneliness and social isolation. I'm going to offer exclusive rewards for anyone that is able to share the campaign with their audience on launch day. Introduce me to media influencers or journalists, which actually is my next point. I was able to get a bunch of media for the project. Not everything happened while the Kickstarter campaign was running because I didn't have the time to reach out to media and journalists until like a week after the campaign launched. And the campaign was only 4 weeks or 3.5 weeks. So if you're thinking of launching a campaign, again, before you launch, you want to start building relationships with journalists. And the one thing I did, or actually I was really lucky that a week in after I launched my Kickstarter campaign, the Toronto Foundation released a social capital study where they surveyed people in Toronto, and one of the statistics they found is that people between 21 and 25 are the least connected age group in the city. And I'm like, that's the reason why they need to use my cards or use my services. So I reached out to every journalist that covered this topic. So I searched on CBC, Globe and Mail, Toronto Star, and I sent them this email that, hey, I came across your article that was released and I really enjoyed reading it. And I actually attended the launch event that they announced the study. And then I shared a little bit of my story. I say that I create these connection cards, but I didn't even mention that I have a Kickstarter campaign. What I did was, I have some ideas for similar topics, or here are some ideas of what I could talk about if you ever want to do a follow-up on that story. And I had one person actually follow up. So a bunch of things happened since then. One person followed up from CBC News and said, hey, I want to do a radio interview with you. So we did the radio interview just before Christmas. The campaign was still going on, but it didn't come out until, I think, like December 30. So it was a radio interview, and then it turned into also an online post. And I had so many people messaging me, buying decks of cards, reaching out for interviews, for running workshops, coming to my events. Like that one thing has probably led to at least like 20 opportunities. And then 2 other things happened actually during the campaign, and both of those were because I already had existing relationships with people in media. So one friend of mine that was part of my launch team works for Huffington Post, and I basically said, hey, who do you know that works in media or is a journalist that I could talk to about my project? I had a chat with her and we ended up coming up with a whole bunch of things. And the one thing that happened is she included my cards as a gift guide for couples that share everything anyway. And it was like number 21 of 50 things. Not a single person clicked that link on Huffington Post, but me creating a Facebook post saying that I was featured on Huffington Post got me a bunch of people donating.
Nice.
So you have to think about how can you leverage when you get media
Repurposing.
to like put it in front of the right people that already wanna, like they're on the edge of supporting you. Same thing probably happened with CityLine. So I had one person that I met actually at a dinner where we used the cards to connect and we became friends through that. And then she out of the blue called me because again she saw me posting that I'm looking for people and said, hey, somebody cancelled for next week's show. Do you mind if I use your cards as like table decorations for like a Christmas family dinner table setup? I'm like, of course. And it was on CityLine. I don't think I get a lot of traction from it. Maybe a couple of people reaching out, but again, me sharing those photos on my social media was like one of my most popular posts I did in the last year. And then of course, I started putting featured on CBC, featured on CityLine, featured on HuffPost on my Kickstarter campaign. I actually put it in the video thumbnail, so the first thing that people see is your video thumbnail. They saw all of that instant credibility, especially if you already are close to your goal, people know it will happen. That helps people make the decision faster. And then other things that happened, I ended up being on breakfast television because they saw the CBC article, and a bunch of podcasts happened at the same time. So had I started reaching out to people, let's say a month before I launched, all of this could have happened during the campaign. And on like live television, I could have said, hey, these are available on Kickstarter right now, right? Yeah, the one thing I've realized though, and that's like my next step, is where do I think my audience is? Like, where do you think your audience hangs out? Like, what, do they watch breakfast television? I don't think my audience watches breakfast television, but it's really good if I now can use this and go to another media outlet and say, hey, I've just been on breakfast television and CBC News and HuffPost, so I'm credible to them. Could I talk to you about this topic? So I made now my list of like publications that I want to approach, and I have all of this to kind of show them.
Impressive.
And it is impressive, but
Creative.
in a way, when I look back at it, all it was relationships. Like I actually used my cards to build relationships to then get the cards on television.
How did you find like those people? Did you just reach out, like call, reaching out kind of
The
thing?
people in the beginning that
Well,
I connected with?
Well, yeah, the CBC, the HuffPost, whatever.